Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto finds true love in train trip. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by ANDYLONG 2000 and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. When Naruto originally left to train with Hiro-Sennin a year ago, he didn't know what to expect. What he thought would at least be a baseline was furthering his ninja techniques. So far all he's done is chakra control, body conditioning, and work with the furry team's chakra. Last night, Naruto had found his master blackout drunk for the fourth time in the past week and slowly coaxed out what his training schedule would be for the next 2 years. Chakra control and Taijutsu. Was he supposed to fight Akatsuki with only his shadow clones and Rasengan? The past few months of the trip with Jiraiya teaching nothing new led to Naruto getting increasingly upset over his so-called sensei's training that he looked back at his ninja career. He lived a joke. He had 2 offensive jutsu to his name and little to no technical knowledge nor applicational knowledge of what few skills he did have. What has he even been taught since he joined the academy? He had to spy on a group of older students preparing to graduate to learn Korimi and Henge, as all his teachers before Iruka-sensei had kicked him out of class before he could gain any knowledge, lest the demon become too smart. He stole the forbidden scroll for his signature Kage Bunshin, all Kakashi-sensei had ever taught him in all their time, as Team 7 was tree climbing, while he gave the team a whole bunch of fire jutsu and even the air rank assassination jutsu that was shoved twice into his chest. Jiraiya let him sign the Toad contract but didn't give him advice with it, just pushed him off a cliff and insulted him when he didn't do good enough for the perv's standards. With Rasengan, Naruto realized he was given a balloon and 2 balls, a handful of hints, and he completed the jutsu 4 times faster than his own master did when presumably the jutsu's creator the Yondaime was by his side the whole time giving advice. Yet even with all the pitfalls his education has had, he survived. He beat Haku, beat Neji, beat a fully possessed Gaara. Hell, Sasuke was trying to kill him at the Valley of the End and Naruto wasn't going all out and it was still close enough to be almost a tie. While his head was trying to sort out his feelings about his past treatment from people he thought only had the best in store from him, Jiraiya stepped into their hotel room. "I've got news, Gaki, apparently the civil war in the mist is nearing its ending. If I go and help the bloodline rebels then Konoha has a very strong potential ally we need with Suna's weakness after the invasion. You're not ready for all-out war so for the foreseeable future, so I will leave you here. Summon Gamakichi to send letters between us if you need anything or have any questions. Every week starting tomorrow morning I will send your weekly training schedule. I don't care what you do as long as every week my list is done, understand? Are you sure it's not cause the rebels' leader is debatably the hottest woman in the elemental nations?" Naruto scoffed. "You're getting both too smart and cynical these days, brat. Tell you what, take a week off to think and relax, then I'll send you your first instructions. Well, research awaits, see ya in a while." Jiraiya yelled into the wind as he jumped out the window and into the cool night. After the pervert left, Naruto decided he'd just get a good sleep and decide his plans in the morning. When after 3 hours he couldn't sleep, he decided physical training may exhaust him enough to force him into sleep. At noon the next day, if someone looked into the forest outside the hotel, one would find a blonde teen dead on his feet from overworking his body. He just couldn't relax. What's the point of this trip if first the pervert doesn't train him enough, then just abandons him to get trained by a scroll once a week? Naruto knew he still loved the old bastard as a precious person in his life, someone who cared about him and he cared about back, but he may not be able to see him as a sensei anymore. Standing up on his shaky legs, Naruto walked back into his hotel room. He slowly gathered his meager belongings and walked into the forest, ready to better himself as best as he could, with or without help. He was Naruto Uzumaki, future Hokage Dadabayo. Hearing a voice, Naruto spins around, hand on his kunai as he hears the flat tone of the last man he thought he'd see. "I see you've decided, Naruto-kun. I wonder what will come of it." As Naruto gains his footing he looks up and meets the spinning crimson eye of the man with a hit out on his head. "So Itachi, I'm rather tired from my training while you're perfectly rested. Never mind the fact that currently me at my absolute best doesn't have a chance against you after one of Bachan's 3-day sake binges. As entertaining as that is, Naruto-kun, I believe you're misunderstanding. When you left on your little training trip, Jiraiya-sama must have let you know Akatsuki is moving in 2 years' time. You are in no danger as I have no intention of combat. I ran into you as I was going to an old Uchiha hideout around 45 minutes into your little forest here." "Oh?" Naruto said, surprisingly downcast for a man who just avoided certain death. Was he not good enough for Itachi to hunt him anymore? Did everyone always see him as worthless? "I have a proposition for you, Naruto-kun. As you know I like strong opponents, how about I train you for the 2 years that I won't be in contact with the rest of Akatsuki? If I bring you up to a sufficient level then I'll enjoy my time much more." Naruto froze. Itachi Uchiha, famed S-rank criminal known for killing his clan in one night, the one the team left the village to ultimately kill, saw enough potential in him that he may one day provide a challenging battle. What do you gain out of this, Itachi? This seems like a win-win for me, as now that you've seen me it wouldn't be hard for you to keep tabs on me for the 2 years Akatsuki needs to capture Buis. Well, if you train me, you give me the chance to overpower you or others in your organization, overruling what you yourself are currently fighting for. Itachi suddenly sighed and showed more emotion in both his face and voice than he has on any other time Naruto had seen him, including his Anbu days. Naruto-kun, can I just come clean and tell you a secret that I've been keeping for so long I can barely differentiate the fact from the fiction I live in my daily hell that is life. It's not like you could tell anyone for the next 2 years anyways, so I see an opportunity to talk to one of the only people that might be able to understand. Seeing Naruto dumbly nod, he continues, I want to help you. I too know what it feels like to be looked at by the world in a light that is not truthful. I can never escape my plight, but maybe back home, they'll finally stop seeing the Kyuubi brat and see Naruto Uzumaki, the wonderful young man who has shed more blood, sweat, and tears for them than many jounin. Itachi, stop this shit. What the fuck are you talking about? You don't know what it's like to be in my shoes back in Konoha. Back before the massacre you were the golden child. The youngest genin, then chunin, then jounin since Hada Kakashi. You even made Anbu captain at an age younger than what I currently am. I'm only 14, yet at my age you had already become either the best or second best ninja in the leaf after the Hokage, obviously disregarding the non-present Sannin. What could you know about the feel of hatred, the lies they spew when you're 3 feet away and they think you're too stupid to hear or understand them? The fucking fox hunts where they chase you on your own fucking birthday and come so close to catching you and ending your miserable existence before the bigger-than-life, weasel-faced Anbu with the cool eyes saved your life. I looked up to you, you know. You were so young, just 5 years older than me, yet you had the respect of the people. They didn't see you as that one good Uchiha kid, you were Itachi, the best damn thing out of the village since the damn Yondaime himself. I thought if I could model myself after you I could avoid the hateful glares and the insults. You say you know what it's like to live my kind of life when I would have murdered to stand in your shadows. Naruto screams, voice hoarse at the end with tears leaking down his face. Seeing this, Itachi slowly takes off his Akatsuki cloak and drapes it on the ground. He walks up to Naruto and hugs him. Thank you, Itachi whispers in his ear sorrowfully, thank you for giving me your story to help me better understand. I misspoke when I said my situation was similar to yours when it was not half as bad. Let me tell you my story in repayment for the gift you've given me. Look here, Naruto-kun. Itachi steps away and waits as Naruto stifles the last few sobs, wipes his nose and looks home in the eye. A soft kai is heard as a hinge is dropped from Itachi's form. Where the intimidating man once stood, a nervous but beautiful woman stood. Standing at 5'7", just 2 inches taller than Naruto, the female Itachi was certainly the most beautiful woman Naruto had seen in his young life. Her hair was long, black and glossy, reaching down to just above her perfect heart-shaped bottom. Looking from the ground up, one would see her shapely legs slowly and painfully leading up to her wide hips topped off with a thin waist, a prime example of the coveted hergless figure Naruto had heard Ino and Sakura talk about back in the academy. Her flat stomach seemed made for caressing up to her large and surprisingly perky breasts. They stood at a proud D-cup, which Naruto sadly realizes was the one thing Jiraiya really ingrained into his head, appreciation of beautiful women. This is the real me, Naruto-kun, my real name is Izumi. When I was born I was raised as a normal and happy little girl by mother Mikoto. My so-called father, Fugaku, was never one to care about family, just the clan, but when I turned 4, he decided it was time for my ninja studies. He saw the way I seemed to soak everything that was taught to me, only needing an explanation once or twice before I could adequately perform the maneuver. He realized that any other children he may have would not have as much potential for power as I had, so he decided he wanted me to be the clan heir. The Uchiha are a patriarchal clan, so that means to the eyes of the world, I had to be a man when in fact I was just a little girl trying her best to do her best to make daddy proud like mommy said I should. Now obviously this shouldn't have worked, how can a baby just switch genders to the eyes of the village? Fugaku was saved by the old Uchiha law, stating only the immediate family would know about an Uchiha baby until it turned 5. This came from the warring clan times when a child would be seen as weak if it didn't survive until its 5th year, and Uchihas made very certain that they were never seen as weak. So knowing this, my father had a year to shape me into becoming the ultimate male clan heir. During this year period my mother gave birth to little Sasu-chan. If it wasn't for him and my mother I would have been insane long ago. They were my escape from the lie my father forced me to live. Around my mother I could be her little girl, and with Sasuke I could be the doting big sister I always wanted to be. By the time I was 11 I was a well-respected chunin in Konoha and was Fugaku's pride and joy. Around this time I started getting my period. Before this it was pretty easy to fake being a boy, just lower my voice a bit and emulate Fugaku whenever I was outside the sanctuary of my house. Now what with me hitting puberty and developing more feminine assets, my father wove and taught me a strong henge, a little weaker than Tsunade-sama's, but close to unbreakable as it is. At home it was different, I went without the henge and felt free. In the eyes of all outside our little house I was Itachi, the cold-blooded ruthless Uchiha project who was on his was to becoming the most dangerous Uchiha since Madara himself. In reality I was a depressed little girl, I had to deny everything about my lifestyle and personality in order for me to follow Fugaku's little dreams. I couldn't play with dolls because what if someone visited our house and saw a doll I had laying around, I couldn't wear the pretty dresses or try on makeup, I couldn't flirt with the boys or have bitchy fights with my girlfriends, and that was honestly what I craved, just a normal female life. My one lifeline was Mother and Sasuke, around them I didn't need to hide who I was. I could be the kind and loving little girl I had to suppress at the urge of my father. This all changed when I was 12 and a half. Fugaku had started to train Sasuke and indoctrinate him in his own mindset and belief of Uchiha superiority. You must be wondering why I call Mikoto mother, well I have refused to call Fugaku father. It is for many reasons, like the ones I have told you before, but why I truly can't see him as my father is because of what occurred around this time. My mother was the only child of the previous Uchiha head and was an average jounin of the village, a fearsome opponent when with a Sharingan, but my father never loved her. He was from a rich family who had an arranged marriage drawn up between them. Fugaku only respected strength so well Mikoto could suffice being a jounin when he realized his own daughter, the Anbu captain, had reached a potentially childbearing age he completely changed. He started muttering about how Mikoto wasn't strong enough to bear his seed and he needed a stronger wife like me. After months of this I alerted Hokage-sama about the revolt Fugaku was about to lead against the Leaf, my orders from him, and the Elder Council was to pick a date and have the non-traitorous Uchiha and all the children at a safe house away from the compound. When I got back to the compound after that meeting a guard told me that Fugaku had called a meeting. I walked into the Elders' Council and there stood my father just sitting with the elders with the cooling body of Mother beside them. He said, "Now Izumi-chan, I have told the elders about your gender predicament and they gave me a great idea. Slay weak Mikoto and have you birth a new heir. Now come and bend over me and the elders are waiting for you to be ready for us." When I realized what happened I just froze. My eyes shifted to the Manjikyu state I had unlocked from when my only friend Shisu committed suicide after Danzo attacked him. My mother was dead and it was only because my father and 6 old men wanted to rape and impregnate me. My mother, the kindest and most wonderful woman in the world, was dead because of my clan's insistence upon power and superiority. I lost it then, it's my biggest shame. I used the heavenly flames of Amaterasu to try and cleanse my clan's sins, but it wasn't enough. By the time I realized what I was doing the whole Uchiha command compound was dead aside from me and a masked Uchiha man. He told me he had been watching his old clan, the Uchiha, fall further and further into disrepair when I started to kill the elders. He said he killed all of the other Uchiha and asked me to join his group. He said his name was Madara Uchiha and he formally invited me to Akatsuki. I saw him phase out of existence as Sasuke finally got home from his detention from the academy. The only reason my precious little brother wasn't killed by Madara that fateful night was because you framed him in one of your pranks and got a detention, so for that I am eternally grateful. He was looking up at me crying and screaming why, my heart just broke. I froze and told him I wanted to test myself and for him to get strong enough to kill me. I realized that my life was barely worth living. My loving mother was dead, I had killed my own father and all of the clan elders, and I would be blamed for the murder of the entire clan as well. I thought my only chance at living a fulfilling life would be to become an informant on this Madara and eventually get Sasuke to seek to end my life. I've wanted my life to end by Sasuke's hand for a while now, it's my only true way to forgive myself for my sins. If Sasuke dreams of killing me I thought he'd look to become stronger on the behalf of the former clan and for Konohagakure itself. I see that I've failed in that regard, so now I hope killing me would bring Sasuke back to the Leaf and back to the tender loving child I remember him as. Hopefully if I do this I may see my mother again and maybe she might eventually be proud of the woman I become. Naruto stared at the figure of Izumi stooped over and bawling her eyes out, he walked up to her and gave her a big hug like she had given him moments earlier. "It's okay Izumi-chan, it's a harsh story and I thank you for sharing it with me. I must say I overreacted earlier and can easily say your life is more messed up than mine is. But just like you were there for me at the fox hunts, protecting me from the villagers, I will be here, protecting you by giving you a shoulder to cry on when it all gets to be too much. I understand how it feels when you believe the whole world is just set up to destroy you and everything you hold dear. I would gladly receive your help for the next 2 years and hopefully I could become your friend, the first person to see Izumi Uchiha, the beautiful woman and kind soul you are. Come on, I'll take you to the hideout you mentioned, and we'll both have some time to calm down. Izumi nodded but still clung to Naruto, craving the support this young man was giving her, the first emotional support she had in many years. Shit, why can't I get the feel of her chest off my mind? Stupid fucking Iro-sen making me a pervert. This girl is crying her heart out and all I can think of is her killer figure. As the two walked into the forest, both were extremely red-faced, one from the exertion from her crying and one from embarrassment about the bountiful breasts pressed against him. After they spent the rest of the day getting situated in the old Uchiha hideout, Naruto and Izumi woke up in the morning, ready to start out their 2 years of training. Naruto-kun, I hate to say it, but either the standards of the leaf have dropped severely for your skillset to be the way it is, or all your senseis deserve to be demoted. You have 2 offensive techniques, Rasengan and your Kage Bunshin, and you are the only person I have ever seen to use an information gathering technique like the Bunshin so purely offensively. Your Taijutsu before you started this trip was laughable, and from what I saw in the last week shadowing you and Jiraiya-sama, all you and him have done is working on your body, you have no distinct style. It seems like you are flailing around praying something connects. It honestly is a credit towards you that you have reached the level you have, with a distinct lack of either advice or training given to you. Truly your ingenuity and creativity are your biggest weapon, and the reason you are known as Konoha's most unpredictable ninja. Heh, if you think all that you should see my Henja Izumi-chan. Oh, and why would that be? Naruto sweat dropped at his stupidity. Was he really going to show off his Warwick no Jutsu to an S-ranked woman debatably stronger than Bachan? I'll show you later, but for now why don't you let me know what we should do first? But first, why did you say Kage Bunshin is an information gathering jutsu? No one has ever told me that. Wait a minute, no one told you the secret of Kage Bunshin? Naruto just shook his head in confusion. Everything your clone learns you learn if you intentionally dispel your clone. You probably have never noticed since you only use your clones in groups for combat. Most people will send a Kage Bunshin into combat to start to gain information on their opponent before the original gets into battle. Many also use it in conjunction with the henge for spying purposes. Naruto was shocked, his favorite technique was this overpowered. Why hadn't Kakashi ever had him working with clones to learn anything? Hell, if Kakashi had told him this in Wave when they were learning tree walking, he could have covered the forest in clones to get tree walking down in a day. Jiraiya always told him it would take too much time to teach him the Toad style of Taijutsu, so they focused on improving his body first. If he had just 100 clones doing the katas every day in the past year, he could have actually had a style by now, instead of fighting blind. Why did everyone who was supposed to be responsible for his growth ignore him and just bother doing the bare minimum? Well, whatever Naruto-kun, it doesn't matter, I actually agree with Jiraiya-sama's training methods in many parts. Your fitness and control do need to be better before we start your elemental training. Instead of mornings doing fitness and afternoons doing control like you did before, you will be doing fitness until we take a quick break for lunch. After that we will do some light sparring, and then you will go back to your bodily training until we end for the day. Well, the original you is doing that. I want 100 clones doing the katas of the Uchiha Interceptor Fist, so you at least have a style even if it doesn't fit you. I also want 250 clones doing chakra control exercises. I know you can do many more clones, but the mental fatigue from gaining so many experiences will tire even you out, and I don't want you burning out after a month. I'll make some clones to oversee your clones, while the original me will be doing the fitness with you. I've started to become a little out of shape. The first month followed this schedule and in Naruto's opinion it went swimmingly. Doing physical exercise almost 12 hours a day meant Naruto was in such a shape that he had never previously been in. He felt incredible. Alongside his training, he was overjoyed in the fact that he and Izumi had really gotten to know each other well. Every day after their training he and Izumi would talk and their friendship had started to grow immensely. This also made Naruto think back on his life. He never really talked to girls before Izumi. Aside from Sakura, he only really talked to Bachan or Shizune-chan. While he loved talking to both and saw them as family, it wasn't the same as having a female friend near his age. Sakura was also a topic he thought a lot on, more specifically his crush on the girl. What did he see in her? Well, not ugly, she was far from the best looking in the academy class, the top spot easily being Ino, and he thought Hinata had a cute charm about her. Thinking back on his crush, it all started when they met on a playground when he was 6, they became fast friends and promised to meet each other the next day. She came an hour late to their meeting and told him to leave her alone, that her mom told her he was a bad guy and she should stay far away from him. Once they met again in the academy, he tried to regain their friendship and his drive for companionship slowly started to annoy the poor girl. Naruto, with his sad lonely life, started to look forward to the refusals, that it would at least ensure a minute or two of conversation before he went back to his frigid reality of isolation. He realized any relationship built on that would be close to abusive. She would hurt him to force him to dance on her strings like one of Kankuru's puppets, and he would happily do it to please her. Izumi started to take her place in his dreams, the woman was beautiful and actually enjoyed his company. He was a little ashamed to admit it because of her help in his training, but he knew he was slowly starting to fall in love with her. He wouldn't say anything of course because there was no way he would have a chance. Izumi was beautiful, no one could compare to her in his mind. Why would she settle for the demon brat, a kid 5 years younger than her who she was teaching? No, he would never ask her out. That would ruin the first real friendship Naruto could honestly say he ever had. Little did Naruto know that Izumi was thinking on similar lines. She just couldn't get the blonde out of her head. The first person she could actually talk to as herself since the massacre was slowly making an impression on her. She loved how hard he threw himself into everything he did. If he was training then it was a one-track mind on him improving himself in the best ways he could think of. In their conversations he was genuinely interested on everything she had to say. This didn't feel like it had with Shisui, her only friend before this. Shisui was her best friend, but he didn't know her true gender. She didn't tell him about the inner workings of her family life or almost anything about her. When Shisui died she had given up on friendship, but Naruto wormed himself into her heart. She also had to admit the compliments he gave her felt amazing. Being called beautiful or intelligent by her mother felt good, but she knew if she was an ugly idiot, her mother would still say the same in her soft, loving voice. With Naruto though it was completely different. When he called her beautiful her heart fluttered, she honestly wasn't aware of her appearance and had self-image issues. Who wouldn't after spending almost 15 years of their life as a man? Naruto calling her pretty made her feel special, and she loved it. Izumi had never had an infatuation with a man before, but she was sure she had developed one for Naruto. But obviously he didn't feel the same, she was 5 years older than him and was his sensei besides, not the greatest position to start a romantic relationship. She also remembered Zetsu's report stated he was in love with his pink-haired teammate, civilian-born Sakura Haruno. Watching Naruto flow through his exercises reminded Izumi of a hypothesis she had thought up a few days ago. He was a handsome man, his long blonde hair framed an angular face which was just made more fiercely attractive with the whisker marks. The month of training they had done together made him look good, whenever she would supervise his training when he was shirtless, she would have to constantly suppress a blush. Overall he was starting to look like a young hero to Izumi, not a stereotypical hero, but one very specific one. Naruto-kun, we're going to stop early today. I am going on an errand back to Konoha and will be back in 1 week. I believe I may have an idea on who your parents are. Naruto couldn't believe his ears, his parents were one subject he never could forgive the Sandame over. It doesn't matter the reason, a child should always know his parents if it was an option. Izumi-chan, you really don't have to. I know I've told you how much I feel the need to know their identity, but it's not worth it if you have to go into danger for me. If you were hurt I would never forgive myself, Izumi-chan, I don't ever want you to be put in danger for me. Oh, don't worry Naruto-kun, if I really don't want to be seen I won't be. I was an Anbu captain so I know all the secret and unguarded entrances. I will go into the Hokage's records and find the file on your parents. I have a guess on who they are due to how my mother reacted whenever you were brought up in conversation. There's a chance your mother was my mother's best friend, Mikoto tried to adopt you, but both the civilian council and Fugaku opposed it. If I'm right I will need a little bit of your blood to get into her house, she was a seal master, so only those who hold her blood would be let in. While I'm gone for this week spend some time when you're not training with the toads, you haven't spent much time with them, and a healthy relationship with your summons is important. Before I leave we will test your elemental affinity. I want you to spend this week training it along with your other training. Here is some chakra paper, just channel chakra into it. Naruto took the paper and did as Izumi asked. The paper split down the middle and one side dampened. Wind and water, one almost wholly offensive and the other has the potential to do anything from long-range jutsu to defensive walls. Focus on wind for this week, once you have a usable arsenal of wind jutsu we will start on water. Use your clones to try and use wind chakra to split a leaf in half, after that is finished try to split the river on the north side of the hideout. It's going to be strange to not be around you Naruto-kun, I've grown used to your presence. I've grown very fond of yours too Izumi-chan, and I value it far more than my parents' identities. Please be careful Izumi, if something were to happen to you, I don't know what I would do. The two shinobis looked at each other for a moment before meeting in between them for a warm hug. After their final goodbyes, Naruto watched her run towards Konoha, towards uncovering a truth that may shake his life to its foundations. As much as I hate to see her leave I do love to watch her go. Stupid Iro-senin clouding my mind with his pervertness. Well brat, that may be the first thing we agree on, she would make a good mate. As much as I hate Uchiha, this vixen is surprisingly likable. Much better than Madara or her emo brother. You're so hung up on shut up fox, she deserves a lot better than to be with someone like me. Oh ho, yet another thing we agree on, your ineptitude. Kid, if things keep on going the way that makes your life so amusing and entertaining, I may not kill you once I escape your foul body. Yes kid, I will give you the honor to be the first priest dedicated to the greatness that is the Kyuubi. Hahaha, very funny Baka Fox. In all seriousness, I would like us to get along one day. Sadly, I currently have no way to get through our hate and rage, so in the meantime I'm gonna hang with Kichi, so kindly shut the fuck up. After hearing an answering snort, Naruto quickly summoned his amphibian friend. A poof of smoke and accompanying an orange toad that reached up to Naruto's chest answered him. Kichi, you're growing so much. When I summoned you 3 weeks ago you were up to my waist. Hey yeah bro, I'm just awesome like that. Pops finally got permission from Fukasaku-sama and Shima-sama to start my Senjutsu training, soon I'm gonna be as big as Pops and way stronger than you could ever be. Senjutsu? I don't think I've ever heard of that. Could you explain it to me? Hey, I could, but the elders would do a better job. Come on, I'll summon you to Mount Mayaboku to talk to them. When Naruto was reverse summoned to the land of the toads, he was awestruck. The lush jungle filled with multicolored beautiful sights was something he was extremely intrigued to see. After showing Naruto around the main village, Gamakichi took him towards Ma and Pa. Fukasaku-sama, Shima-sama, I've brought Naruto here so you could hopefully give him an explanation of what Senjutsu is, because honestly, I have no clue how to explain. Well Kichi-chan, although I don't think Naruto-chan here is ready for Senjutsu, I guess an explanation wouldn't hurt. Naruto-chan, Senjutsu is the ultimate techniques a great summon clan can teach to their summoner. Senjutsu revolves around merging with your environment and absorbing the natural energy that flows throughout the entire world. A person who is adept at using Senjutsu is called a sage, that is where little Jiraiya-chan got the sage part of his name. You are not currently ready for learning how to utilize Senjutsu, you are both too young, and your skill level as a ninja is not high enough. You will die if you try to learn how to do this currently, in 1 to 2 years I will test you to see if you're ready. After the quick explanation, Gamakichi and Naruto thanked the elder toads and then went to look around the mountain of the toads. After a long night of visiting with the toads who he had come to know in the short time he was a summoner, Gamakichi led Naruto to his father Gamabunta. Boy Gaki, good to see you. Tonight is the night to finally take me up on the offer to drink with me to become the summoner of the main line of the toads. We have not had one since Minato Namikaze, and I would like Gamakichi to take up my role of chief toad in the future. Since he is your primary summon, you need to drink with both of us, which means double the sake. What about Jiraiya? I'd assume he was the summoner of the main line, since he is known as the Toad Sage. Well, we the toads both respect and like the pervert, his primary summon is Gamakin, and he is not in the main line, he likes to take a role of assisting the main line. When the pervert originally reverse summoned himself to our lands, he came across a young Gamakin, so he became Jiraiya's primary summon. I obviously allow both him and you to summon me when the situation calls for more power than the summoner's primary summon can supply, but the main line of the toads will continue through you. What followed is something Naruto was not too proud of. Well, the Kyuubi could burn off any toxins in his system, including alcohol. It seems like he wanted a little revenge on our young blonde. When Naruto woke up in the morning, he was in a barrel, knee-deep in sake. Ichi was lying 20 feet away with what looked to be a female toad in a bit of a compromising position, while Tatsu seemingly showed up partway through the night and was sleeping on Bunta's tongue, which was laying outside of his mouth, while he himself was passed out underneath a waterfall. Naruto knew when to call it, so he got a nearby toad to reverse summon him back to the Uchiha hideout so he could train and wait for Izumi and the news that may come of his parents. The week Naruto spent without Izumi was the hardest to endure in the past year and a bit outside of Konoha. Being without Izumi's constant presence was almost unbearable. While he knew he was very fond of his sensei, it wasn't until she left that Naruto really understood how attached he was to her. She was someone he never thought he would meet, a person who understood and lived the life he had, one of constant isolation and emotional neglect. To top it off, she actually wanted to spend time with him. No one in Konoha actually encouraged him visiting, except for Tsunade and Shizune. While his wind elemental training went well, he just felt restless without Izumi and her calm aura surrounding him, making him feel secure and sure of himself. The constant feelings of self-doubt and insecurity that hounded him in his childhood began to spring back up. He felt weak. After the second day, he asked Fukasaku-sama if he could begin learning the kata to frog kumite. While told the style was more than halved in effectiveness when used without the application of Senjutsu chakra, the elder toad agrees to let him learn the style as both a head start for once he becomes a sage and to have a more primarily offensive and defensive-based Taijutsu style to work alongside the reaction-based interceptor style of the Uchiha. For the rest of the week, Naruto would be summoned to Mount Mayaboku for 3 hours a day to learn his new style of Taijutsu along his familiar Gamakichi. His wind elemental training had progressed much faster than either he or Izumi expected, being able to cut a leaf in half on the 3rd day and splitting the river 2 days later. After completing this feat he decided to work on his wind chakra skills in a more creative way by cutting the spiral design he saw on Jonin uniforms onto the leaf. During his trip with Hiro Sennin, one of the few things he was taught was about the Uzumaki clan. From their relation to the Senju, to their destruction in the Second Shinobi War, to his affectionately coined Bachan actually being a quarter Uzumaki, meaning he was actually related to the woman. Learning this bit of knowledge was what honestly drove the largest wedge between Naruto and his perverted master. If Jiraiya knew all of this Uzumaki history, then he had to have known of the Uzumakis in the village before the Kyuubi attack, his first solid link to who his parents may be. Before the lesson on Uzumaki history he honestly thought Uzumaki was a name the Sandaime made up for him, like Namikaze was made for the man he had grown up looking up to, but had a muddled outlook on after learning of the sealing done on him, and the resentment pointed towards him, that directly followed the momentous event, the Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze. He understood that the Uzumaki were not a Konoha clan, but if they had such close relations to the Senju, one of the founding clans of Konoha, that one married Hashirama Senju, why wasn't the clan mentioned even once in all of the academy lectures and textbooks? Was his generation purposely hidden away from the knowledge of his clan, so he would grow up thinking of himself as a lowly orphan, who only had the Hokage and Konoha as a whole to thank, cherish, and protect for his life? Naruto honestly didn't want to dive too far down that rabbit hole, because in all actuality he did love Konoha and the Sandaime, and didn't want his view to be shrouded in such a negative light. What did he have if he didn't have Konoha? No, Naruto would take being happy and ignorant over informed and miserable on most subjects, his parents, and the knowledge of the Kyuubi being sealed inside himself, being the only exceptions he could think of. When Izumi finally returned after 9 days had passed, Naruto was overwhelmed with relief. Izumi was late by 2 days, and he was scared she was caught by the patrolling Anbu. As soon as she noticed Naruto she ran up to him and gave him a large hug, laying her head on his shoulder. She retreated after a fairly long time and breathlessly started reporting her findings. "I'm sorry I'm late, Naruto-kun, but once I got your blood tested in Konoha, I needed to retest it twice before going to where your parents lived and taking anything that could be useful to you." "Slow down, Izumi-chan, let's just start out with who you think my parents are and why you're so excited." "No, Naruto, not who I think your parents are but who I know your parents are. I started off with an assumption that your mother was a woman named Kushina Uzumaki, my mother's best friend. She hadn't visited the Uchiha compound to see my mother in over a year before the Kyuubi attacked, and my mother got the confirmation from the Hokage that she was dead. Apparently she disappeared because she got married to your father, disappeared from the public eye and got pregnant with you. She was an S-ranked Kunoichi nicknamed both the Red Death and the Red Hot Habanero, and also lovingly called the Tomato Baka by my mother. What surprised me is that according to my mother, Kushina had never been in a romantic relationship throughout her life in Konoha, but once I found out who your father was, I understood why she kept it so secret that she didn't even tell her best friend. Naruto-kun, your father is Minato Namikaze, Yondaime Hokage of Konoha. I know this is a lot to hear, so please tell me what you're feeling. We can talk it over for the rest of today, and tomorrow morning we can go over your training and what I brought back for you." Naruto just stared at her, his face as still as a pond on a windless night. His own father sealed the Kyuubi inside of him. While his current relationship wasn't as negative as it was when they met before the Chunin exams, it was still far from good. His own father doomed him to a life as a human sacrifice. His own father encouraged the Sandaime to tell the entire village about the sealing and damning him in the process. His father was the reason he couldn't buy his own food until he learned the hinge. His father was the one who forced him into having so little meaningful relationships that he could count them on 2 hands with fingers to spare. How the hell is he supposed to feel? Leaning forward he wraps his arms around Izumi and whispers in her ear in a cracked hoarse voice. "Please tell me whatever you can remember about my mother or what your own mother has told you about her. I don't even want to think about the Yondaime at the moment, my thoughts surrounding him are too jumbled up to bother talking about." Izumi just nodded and began to talk in a soft, gentle voice about the many stories she had about the excitable, tomboyish, slightly immature, but exceedingly beautiful and inspirational woman that was Kushina Uzumaki. After a while she saw the slight shine of tears threatening to fall out of the blonde's eyes. She slowly laid his head down on her lap, pet his hair, and solemnly sat there supporting Naruto as he began to weep. The sounds of his sobs soon got drowned out by her soft murmurs of support that danced in the air as the distraught shinobi slipped into a deep, dreamless sleep, utterly exhausted by his emotional turmoil. Naruto awoke to the sounds of birds chirping and the harsh glow of the dawn sunlight in his eyes. Realizing he had slept outside, he looked around and noticed that he fell asleep with his head still in Izumi's lap as she leaned against a tree. As he slowly sat up, Izumi's eyes snapped open due to the sudden loss of the weight on her thighs. "Good morning, Naruto-kun, how are you feeling now?" Looking up at her angelic face framed in the glow of the early morning sun, surrounded by the picturesque forest behind the Uchiha stronghold, Naruto was baffled by her flawlessness. He could finally understand why the Uchiha were sometimes seen as the children of the sun goddess Amaterasu, because if the perfect woman above him wasn't a product of a goddess boasting about her perception of beauty, Naruto honestly couldn't imagine how a being as amazing as Izumi Uchiha could exist. Beautiful. He whispers, just loud enough for Izumi to hear him and blush. Regaining his wits, he comes to a realization: if he doesn't act fast, Izumi would no doubt eventually move on and leave him. I'm feeling much better, Izumi-chan, although that is all thanks to you. Without you I would have been a mess for days after learning of my parents, not just for one embarrassing night. Izumi-chan, I have something I need to say, and before I do I need you to promise me something. Do you promise that after hearing what I say you and I will still share a bond of friendship? I could care less about stuff like you training me, but I need you in my life some way, Izumi-chan, do you promise me? No matter what you feel after I've said my piece, will you still try to keep our friendship? After seeing Izumi hesitantly nod her head, Naruto takes a deep breath. What would come next would be the biggest challenge he has faced so far, fighting Zabuza and Haku on the Great Naruto Bridge. No problem. Orochimaru in the Chunin exams. He wasn't killed, so no biggie. Facing Gaara and a fully released Shukaku. He yawned just remembering when faced with what he was about to do. Izumi-hime, I'm in love with you. After a week or two with you I developed a crush on you, but over the past 2 months of spending hours with you just getting to know you, the attraction I've nurtured towards you has grown and grown until it's the last thing I think about when I sleep, the first thing I think when I wake, and keeps me constantly distracted while I train. You're beautiful, no woman compares to you. People all around the elemental nations parade around saying women like Koyuki Kazuhana or Tsunade Senju are the epitome of beauty and the most attractive woman they've seen. I'm just thankful that your bingo book entrance is under your Itachi persona, so I'm the only man to have been blessed enough to gaze in wonder at your mystifying beauty. From the minute I saw you I was enamored, you caught me under your spell, and I've never been so thankful to blindly love a woman. Well, we both know you're attractive. What made me fall in love with you is who Izumi Uchiha is. You're a woman who has been forced into such a little box, Itachi, the Uchiha prodigy whose like hasn't been seen since the days of Madara and Izuna. You were told to be one single thing when you are so much more. From a stunted childhood you have grown to be an inspiration to me. Your empathy for others is unheard of, your love you have for your mother and little brother, the care you've shown me in only 2 short months of friendship and training. Izumi, you're my entire world, nothing compares to you. No one has sacrificed more than you. You were forced to sacrifice both your childhood and your womanhood to become the pride of the Uchiha, and you did it because you were asked. You sacrificed a happy life in the village so we could gain an insight into the crazed schemes of Madara. I hate to ask you to sacrifice more, but I must ask, will you sacrifice once more and date me, someone so far below you that it's embarrassing to ask? Izumi froze, this long, weighty confession was coming out of left field for her. She knew Naruto valued both her and their friendship, but she had no idea the depth of how much he cared. This innocent, kind, and wonderful young man thought the world and beyond of her, and how should she respond? Without uttering a word she gripped his shoulders and brought him to her in a passionate lip lock. Dropping Naruto, she could see the confusion, the hope, but most of all the love for her in his deep blue eyes. Baka, I don't deserve such a huge speech, I'm just a confused woman who has found out someone is the dark world is willing to brighten it with his love for me. Will you help me, Naruto? I don't know my way around romantic love, I've never felt anything like this before, and I can honestly say I'm scared. I love you too, but I have no clue how to show it. I'm willing to try and start a relationship if you are. The 2 young lovers locked eyes, pure love and adulation showing between them as they slowly leaned forward to connect their lips, each with relief visible on their faces as they had finally connected with the one they loved. After a morning of kisses, work was still needed to be done between the two. Once their breakfast was finished, Izumi unsealed several scrolls. Naruto-kun, here is whatever I found in your parents' house that I could both bring and that I thought would be useful for you. I have some Fuinjutsu workbooks and notes that you could start to learn if you'd like. I couldn't help you in that subject, so that's in your own time. I have also brought you a note your father has left you. Picking up the note, Naruto had a nervous flutter in his stomach. What would this man write to him? An apology, orders on how to better defend the village, a will. Naruto was scared shitless until he started to read aloud so his new girlfriend could hear. Dear Naruto, I'm so sorry that me and your mother never got to meet you. As my shadow clone writes this and leaves it for you, the original me is currently engaging the Kyuubi, and sadly I'm about to seal it inside you. There are several things you need to know. I've instructed Hiruzen to tell you of your ancestry when you were both 16 years old and at least a Chunin, so you could defend yourself from mine and your mother's enemies. If you're reading this, that means you've reached that milestone, so congratulations on your promotion or happy birthday, son. You are not the first Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi, in fact you are the third. The Shadame's wife Mito Uzumaki was the first, and your mother Kushina Uzumaki was the second. Well, I'm sorry you had to bear this burden as both me, your mother, and probably you wish that the Kyuubi was still within my wife. There was a reason the seal was broken when you were born. The female Jinchuriki can give birth, but the seal weakens. While this was happening, a masked Uchiha attacked the secret location we had set up for Kushina to birth you. He used his ocular powers to rip the Kyuubi out of your mother and sincerely weakened her in the process. Following childbirth, the Kyuubi being ripped from inside of her and her wounds taken from trying to save you from this masked man, there is sadly no doubt in my mind she will be dead by the end of the night. In either confusion or due to being controlled by the masked man, the Kyuubi attacked the village. This masked man is after the Kyuubi, and I'm sorry my son, but whatever this dastardly man wants with the fox can't be good, so you will have to suffer for others. I apologize for what I have to do, but just know me and your deceased mother love you and are proud of whoever you turned out to be. If you have become a ninja, then I've left you a little surprise. I'm sure your godfather Jiraiya has cared for you and trained you through the years, so you must at least have knowledge of Fuinjutsu. Sealing was both your mother's and my specialty, so as a little incentive I've destroyed all knowledge of the Horatian formula, both mine and Tobirama-sama's original design, so only one copy of the formula and the notes surrounding it are dwelling in the elemental nations. Where, you may ask? Well, it's behind your left knee. I've left a seal matrix combined with both a blood and chakra seal to lock it up within you. No one aside from you will be able to access the seal, and you won't be able to unlock the seal until you have reached the level of seal master. Good luck my son, again I'm sorry for what I have to do and I love you. Yondaime Hokage, Minato Namikaze. After reading the note aloud, all Naruto could do was sigh. So Jiraiya is your godfather and was supposed to take care of you and teach you this whole time, wow. At least you know how your father feels now and a direction to strive towards if you feel like learning Fuinjutsu or the Horatian. Izumi chuckled, trying to get Naruto to lighten up. Whatever, it's nice to know my father did actually care and felt bad about using me in the sealing, but this just makes me wonder about Iro Sennin. What the hell has he been doing that was more important than raising his godchild? Fuck it, whatever, doesn't matter, I won't see that pervert for at least a year. Let's train Izumi. I've completed the leaf cutting exercise and sort of advanced it by trying to cut Uzumaki spirals in the leaves. I've split the river. Along with my wind training, my physical training and interceptor fist training has gone well. I've started to learn the Toad Taijutsu style from one of the elder toads. While it doesn't work as effectively without Senjutsu training, it will help me get a head start and shore up both my offensive and defensive skills in Taijutsu battles. Izumi whistled, she was impressed. Wow, Naruto-kun, you have almost fully completed your main affinity in a week, and not only that, but you still had time to not only finish the rest of the training I set aside for you, but request even more to better yourself. What the hell was Konoha doing when they said you were the dead last? I'm extremely proud of my boyfriend right now. After a quick kiss, she gets back into lecturing sensei mode. Naruto, I have been considering giving you something for a while, and while away I decided just how I wanted to give it to you. Doing quick hand signs for a summoning jutsu, Izumi slams her hands on the ground, and once the smoke cleared there were two ravens, one larger than the other being almost 5 feet tall. The other had a scar over one eye and inside held a single 3-tomo Sharingan. The larger raven started coughing and choking. As the sounds coming from the bird got more and more violent, Naruto was about to step in and help the bird out. The bird finally got up a large scroll, laying it into Izumi's waiting hands, while the smaller raven with the Sharingan flew onto Izumi's shoulder. Naruto-kun, to start, this is the contract to the Raven clan. While not an offensive summon group like the Roads, the Ravens act as information gatherers, they specialize in stealth and Jinjutsu. Since they are not head-on battle-oriented, the Toads should accept you to be the summoner of the Ravens as well. The Ravens are different as they are a recently created clan. My mother was gifted the contract by the only Raven who can speak, Galbraith-sama, the boss summon like Gamabunta-sama. The rest of the clan can relay specific information to their summoner telepathically, but for longer or information that has more depth, they have been taught how to write with their beaks by me and my mother. I would like you to sign the contract if the Roads have no problem with it. I've cleared it with the Ravens, and they are excited to have you in an alliance with the Toads if they agree. Naruto just gave her his signature foxy grin, quickly running through the signs to summon. Aki. What the hell am I doing here? You're supposed to meet me Fukasaku-sama and Kichi back at Mount Mayaboku in an hour for your training. Sorry boss Toad. Izumi over here just made me a great offer and I'd like to accept, but I need your permission. May I sign the Raven contract along with the Toad contract? The Ravens apparently would also wish to offer an alliance to the Toads and all other clans they have allied with. Wow, Gaki, getting political on me now, eh? Well sure, I've only heard good things about the up-and-coming Raven clan, and I'm sure Kitsai would love to have Jinjutsu specialists and information gatherers to help the slugs in their supporting role. Go right ahead Gaki, I trust while you are with the ravens you show the Toad clan in a good light as we are your primary summons, and when you are in the outside world, you spread the name of both of our clans. But that Gamabant had unsummoned himself as Naruto signed the Raven contract. Well Naruto, that seemed to go much easier than what I expected. I have one final gift for you if you accept. I've told you about my only other friend Shisui and his death, but I never mentioned his eyes. This raven has the one he gifted me, well Danzo presumably has the other. If you accept I would like to have this implemented into you. Before Naruto could answer he was drawn into his mindscape and stood in front of his prisoner. Naruto, from what you have read from the fourth note to you, you must have an idea about my relationship with the Uchiha scum. Abiju is weak to Sharingan-based illusion and no others. As masses of chakra we are self-regulating so regular human illusions won't do anything, but the Sharingan works around implementing demands within the target's consciousness itself. I've been controlled twice in my lifetime by the accursed jutsu you were about to accept. Once when I attacked Konoha after being ripped out of apparently your mother, and the other by Madara when he forced me to fight against Hashirama Senju. I do not like the idea of my host having these powers over me, so we need to discuss terms if you accept. From what I have seen of your life and memories you are honorable for a ninja. Know that if you control me with that eye for me to give you my chakra I would be forced to accept, but since that eye is not as strong as the eyes that have controlled me in the past, I would be able to influence the hatred flowing through my chakra. I would force you to become a murder machine, with only the drive to kill whatever is close to you, be it the Uchiha women or anyone from Konoha. That being said, you gaining that eye would mean you gain more power, which is good for me, as I do not want a weak host. If you are being hounded by these pitiful Akatsuki, if you do gain ownership over that eye and use it both well and wisely in a way I approve of, after I feel these conditions are met, I will allow you to use 4 tails of my chakra without me purposefully filling it with extra malice. It would still be very hard for you to control, but you may be able to fight through my chakra's latent hatred and use it to your wish instead of becoming a murder machine. You were only able to use the one-tailed cloak against a younger Uchiha boy efficiently, both because it was just a fraction of my power, and I willingly let you use it because I didn't wish to see my prison fail against an Uchiha, which you still did because you were afraid to kill him or even seriously injure. If I allow you to use this eye you must enter battle and be able to kill if the situation arises. I will also use my healing power over your body, so you only have to pop your eye out and put the Sharingan in. No surgery required. If you do not accept my terms my chakra will destroy the eye as it is foreign from my host, and my chakra would allow me to destroy it. Do we have an accord ninja? Looking into the large eye of the fox in front of him, Naruto released a breath before speaking. I do, but I have my own terms. I want you to be more open about the conversation about you becoming a willing partner of mine and not a prisoner stuck inside of me. I also want to know your name because I highly doubt it's Kyuubi no Kitsune. Kurama. Now accept the eye, kid. After being forcefully expelled from his mind he explained the conversation he had just had with Kurama to Izumi. I see, well then Naruto-kun please try and keep your left eye open. I will try and make this as painless as ripping out an eye with my bare hand as I can. The whole eye transplant went well. After Izumi ripped the eye out Naruto only felt pain for a few seconds before the new eye was placed in the socket and he could feel Kurama using his chakra to re-knit the optical nerves and so on and eventually the pain faded away. Izumi wrapped bandages around the left side of Naruto's face covering the eye from the light. Naruto-kun, while your eye is getting used to your body, we will not be focusing on bodily heavy activities. Each morning you will keep up your workouts, but the time spent on your Taijutsu katas will be quartered. In the free time you have from that I will be teaching you wind jutsus I have either copied or have a scroll for. I will also be lecturing you on the use of the Sharingan. It may seem easy, pop in the eye automatically get faster, be able to see where the enemy will attack, and break down and copy enemy jutsu, but it is not so. Before the clan was killed the Uchiha used to spend 6 months with each member who had just manifested the Sharingan to train it in its capabilities for battle. You will also be getting this training alongside your previous shinobi activities. Now please start your workout and I'll be watching. Mama needs some eye candy after spending so long away. Naruto couldn't help but laugh at his girlfriend as he took off his shirt to begin the workout. How did he get so blessed to have such an attractive, funny, and down-to-earth girlfriend? 3 months after Naruto received Shisui's eye he could honestly say he was currently living the best moments of his life every day. His training once he could actively use the eye went swimmingly, his reaction time had been boosted by a noticeable margin, which was impressive to say the least, since his reactions were honed from a troubled childhood when he would always have to be on the watch for an errant kicker object thrown by the villagers. He could now break down techniques he saw through his eye, but instantaneous copying were still out of reach for the moment. His repertoire of jutsu, which before meeting Izumi was taken up by 5 techniques, had tripled. Izumi didn't have as large a fount of jutsu knowledge as someone like Kakashi, but what she did know Naruto gobbled up with an insatiable urge to impress her and gain strength for himself. Naruto could honestly say he had come very close to mastering the usage of wind chakra. He couldn't fly or anything as outrageous as that, but he could feel the latent wind flowing around him and could use a few low-rank wind jutsu like the Tatapa with no hand seals. While not as strong as Orochimaru's in the Forest of Death, his was powerful. If he had the chakra control to properly use his vast chakra reserves, his would blow the snakes out of the water. Naruto was also in the best shape of his life. The diet of meat from animals he himself hunted down alongside foraged fruits and vegetables, along with the weekly trips to the nearby town to shore up their food stocks and change their diets, had made Naruto gain almost 25 pounds of muscle in the 4.5 months he had been at the abandoned Uchiha stronghold. Izumi had told him his diet habits when he was in the village would have killed any ordinary man. People are not designed to live off of ramen. The sodium from the ramen paired with the fact Naruto's apartment barely ever had flowing water meant he was severely dehydrated. Only Kurama had allowed Naruto to live, even in a very malnourished form. He once tried to explain to her that it wasn't his fault. The Ichirakus were the only restaurant he knew of in the village that wouldn't overcharge him, and the grocers would only sell him spoiled goods at regular price. Everything else was simply off limits to him. After seeing the sadness cloud her eyes instead of her normal bright exuberance, when round him convinced him that his eating habits would be the last topic of his upbringing, he would bring up to her. He honestly hated how sad or angry she looked when he had told her these things, while he was overjoyed on the face that she cared enough about him to be empathetic, which was more than he had ever had before. Aside from the old man, in his opinion the only emotion that should be on a face that beautiful should be happiness and excitement. Another upside from his newfound physique was the effect on his taijutsu. After he could effectively use the Sharingan, his aptitude with the Uchiha Interceptor fist style almost doubled. His increased reaction time meant he could actually turn away some of Izumi's strikes, and just last week he had landed his first hit on her when she was going 100%. The Toad style did gain a marginal boost once he actually gained some bulk on his frame. Now his strikes had much more power behind them and could block much better as well. His newest training goal was to try and blend the two styles more effectively. Before he used to fall into one style or the other after the first couple exchanges, but he wanted to naturally flow through both forms unconsciously during combat. All of these shinobi boosts were a plus for why he was so happy out here in the wilderness, but his main reason was his dime of a sensei. Izumi was a beautiful woman that, for a reason he could never understand, actually wanted to spend time with him and help him better himself. She was unbelievably knowledgeable on all aspects of shinobi life. She was kind and compassionate and surprisingly funny once she opened up and let out a gorgeous laugh. His life since he finally admitted his love to the Uchiha woman has been paradisiacal. He had people who care for him during his life in Konoha: Iruka-sensei, Tsunade Bachan, Shizune Nichin, the Ichirakus, and Hokage come first to his mind, with Iro Sennin and Team 7 having their moments. The care and compassion they've shown him throughout his entire life didn't compare to what he received from Izumi on a daily basis since they had met just 4.5 months ago. She genuinely paid attention to everything he told her, not just nod their head and make non-committal sounds of agreement. She valued him out of no obligations whatsoever and actually gave him love in return. Him. The demon of Konoha, the Jinchuriki brat, the orange idiot. When she agreed to go out with him 3 months prior, he had barely believed her, and to this day he honestly wouldn't be surprised if this was some sort of genjutsu. An amazing woman who was sure to be desired by anyone she showed her true self would actually commit to being with a nobody like him. She even wanted to train him out of the kindness of her heart. No way did he deserve her, but he sure as hell wouldn't tell her that. After his moment of introspection, Naruto came up with a plan, a devious plan. He would take Izumi-chan out on a date at the town so she doesn't figure out how inadequate he is for her. He steepled his fingers and gave off his best impression of Orochimaru's sinister chuckle, kuku. As much as he hated the team for supplying Sasuke team with a reason to leave the village and betray Konoha, he couldn't say he wasn't thankful for the man's chuckle. Honestly, the snake was just like a stereotypical supervillain that Naruto just had to use him as inspiration for his more devious pranks or plans. Naruto-kun, do I need to ask why you're staring off into space with a malicious smirk on your face? Oh shit. Izumi saw him. The plan to somehow make this amazing girl not notice how she could do so much better than him was ruined. But wait, he can turn this around. While he was a terrible liar, his acting skills were top-notch. Nothing much, Izumi-hime, just thinking about what Iro Sennin's reaction will be when he comes back from Kiri in a year and sees me with a girl he could never match. Wow, Naruto-kun, such a little charmer. You sure it wasn't some sort of nefarious scheme or prank you think I wouldn't approve of? Izumi asked with a sly upturn of her lips, knowing she caught him. For shame Izumi Haim, I just wanted to brag to the world about how I somehow stumbled into a relationship with the best woman in the elemental nations. I also know just how to start my humble bragging by asking you out for dinner at a restaurant in town if you're up for it. Why would I ever refuse? I love spending time with you, and this could be a new step in our relationship. If we want to be properly rested for our date tonight, then we should get to our training right away. Today is the day we start working on your affinity with water, so make some clones and grab some leaves. This time instead of cutting them with Futon chakra, we will try to get you to soak the leaf with Sutan chakra. This will be much harder as wind was both your primary affinity and was trained first. The hardest obstacle to overcome won't even be drawing on the Sutan chakra, no, it will be trying to not use Futon. Your chakra system has become used to only using elemental chakra in the form of Futon. I wanted you to form this habit and break it so in the future, if you learn jutsu from elemental branches that aren't an affinity of yours, you won't have as much trouble unconsciously changing the form of chakra in your system to different types on the drop of a dime. Now hop to it so we can plan out our date. Ooh, I'm so excited, it's our first date. Sweat dropping at the slight squeal at the end and deciding to ignore it, Naruto got to work creating 150 or so clones to pick up leaves. So what, he couldn't be confident that it was 150 clones. Chakra control is hard. Especially when someone has a certain resident fluffball sitting in his gut, exuding an indefinable amount of chakra just by living. So what if his chakra control wasn't precise enough to guarantee the desired amount of clones? Sasuke team would probably die if he tried to create 150 clones. After this he created the 50 clones to do chakra control exercises like water walking that was becoming a habit he didn't think he would ever break. He also created just 10 to practice Sharingan techniques like Jinjutsu and so on to work with a clone of Izumi's. As his clones got to work, so did the original Naruto, back to physical training that would improve himself. He sighed in realization that an overly excited Izumi would probably train him into exhaustion today, thinking their date would be an excuse to almost kill her poor boyfriend. After training and a quick shower for both Naruto and Izumi, Naruto was waiting outside Izumi's room, ready to head out to town for their date. Naruto had grown in the past 4.5 months, and he now was an inch taller than his girlfriend, her standing at 57, and him at 58. Naruto wasn't ever more grateful for his growth spurt than at this moment. Because when Izumi walked out of her room, his rational thinking faded to the background, and out came what Jiraiya was planning for Naruto to become, a pervert. As he looked at his girlfriend, he couldn't tear his eyes away from her body. He'd been with her constantly for almost half a year, but she most commonly walked around in unflattering training gear. When she walked out of the room in a strapless black dress, he couldn't stop his eyes from doing a slow, very noticeable, gaze across her entire body, making multiple stops at her breasts, hips, face, and did he say breasts? Well, that's a boost to my confidence, Naruto-kun. Just know if you look at other women like that, I may have to gouge out your eyes. But never mind that, you look quite handsome yourself when you clean up. Come on, let's get going, I'm hungry. Taking a quick mental picture of his stunning girlfriend with his Sharingan, Naruto nodded dumbly before leading his date towards the town. On the way there, Naruto wouldn't tell Izumi what the plan was for the night, wanting it to be a surprise. He almost caved in and told her when she pulled out those infamous puppy eyes, something about a cute girl looking up at you with those wide, shining, inquisitive eyes made almost any man's knees shake and eventually fold before they spilt the beans. Naruto somehow kept his resolve, which he attributed to Mogi using that accursed jutsu almost every 2 days on him back in Konoha, to get her, Konohamaru, and Yuden a partner to play ninja with her to give them training advice. Maybe he had gained a resistance to those eyes after having them used on him so much. Naruto thought this was the case, as it was known that powerful eyes lost some strength after having fought them multiple times. Like Hashirama Senju against Madara Uchiha and his own budding resistance against Sasuke that had further evolved after countless bars against Sasuke's big sister. To Naruto, the line of thought seemed to prove that he was gaining a resistance to the jutsu. If one could build a resistance to the Sharingan, why couldn't someone build a resistance to more powerful eyes? As they finally got to the restaurant, Naruto opened up the door for his date, because who says chivalry was dead? Reservation for 2, under Uzumaki please. The host nodded and took them to their table. The restaurant was quite nice, white tablecloths and other similar high-class decorations gave the look of an austere but quite romantic setting for the 2 up-and-coming lovers. Naruto-kun, you didn't have to take me out to some place so nice. I would have been more than happy to just go to an inn and have a simple meal. I know I didn't need to, Izumi Haim, but this is our first date and I need to prove to you that I can be a good boyfriend. I'll be attentive, emotionally there, I'll pay for meals, and I'll do anything you ask until the day I die, Izumi. That is a promise. Nowhere in the elemental nations will you find a better boyfriend, and I want to show you that because I know there's no way in hell I'd ever find a woman as amazing as you. Both shinobi looked across the table and stared into their partner's eyes before Izumi leaned over to give her boyfriend a kiss. I hope you booked us a reservation at a hotel, Naruto-kun, because I think I know how I want this date to end. Izumi seductively whispered into his ear before giving it a kiss as she sat back down in her chair and called the waiter over to get their order. Naruto looked at his girlfriend, face as red as a tomato, before he mentally gave himself a high five. He had no idea Izumi was ready for this stage in their relationship, and he honestly couldn't be happier, ready to give himself over completely to his soon-to-be lover. Looking back on the night of his first date, Naruto could only smile fondly. After their wonderful dinner and dessert, Naruto had suggested going for a walk around town. After 45 minutes of wandering, they ended up somewhere special. Naruto led Izumi to the nearby lake, where they sat on a bench overlooking the water. The bench was framed by two elm trees, both leaning together to meet over the bench in a pale imitation of two young lovers leaning against each other for both warmth and for love. Looking through the moonlight-dappled leaves of the intertwining elm, you could see Naruto and Izumi holding each other just like the trees above, like they were the only thing that mattered or existed to the world. If you ask either of them in that moment if it was true, neither would even bother responding, too busy staring into their partner's eyes, whispering sweet words of love. In front of the young couple was a picturesque scene. The bench was on one of the small rolling hills that surrounded the area. They had the perfect view of the lake in front of them. The large lake was black as night, reflecting the starry sky above them. The stillness of the water on this windless night made the lake seem like a portal into the void, a portal into the dark emptiness that both Naruto and Izumi held deep down in a part of their soul. Above the lake, the full moon held strong and firm, lovingly shining its pale light down onto the couple and the lake below. The only sounds the couple could hear were the occasional hoots of a nearby owl and her young chicks, the chitters of crickets, and the deep sounds of their partners breathing. The darkness of the lake was offset by its beautiful surroundings and the malevolent ambience of it all. In Izumi's mind, the view they sat watching was almost metaphoric. From the respective darkness of each other's childhood, they had found happiness. Naruto was as alone, and the solitary ripple in the water made from an insect landing on the water, being gobbled by a fish that came to surface. Just like that fly, if Naruto had made a single mistake in his childhood, the hatred of Konoha would have swallowed him up, never to be seen again, just like the solitary bug and the fish hiding in the depth. From that awful place, Naruto had made impressions on the leaf, and they were starting to see just what they had shunned. Naruto had saved the village by defeating the future Kazekage in single combat. He had found Konoha allies like Wave and the Land of Spring. Just like the ripples born from the stillness of the water, Naruto had risen up from nothing and made a large impression on the ninja world, very large considering he had done all that when he was 13. Naruto's opinion mirrored his girlfriend, except when he stared at the scene in front of him, he saw in from the perspective of Izumi. She was like the full moon, shining down from high up in the sky, basting the world in its pale, deathly beautiful aura. Just like the moon, she stood alone and unafraid, bigger than life. She was surrounded by peers back before the massacre, but they never knew her. They saw Itachi, the emotionless drone, the killing machine, the Uchiha prodigy who could rival a young Madara. No one saw her struggles, her identity issues. They saw the incomparable Itachi Uchiha when all she wanted was to be Izumi, the young caring girl she really was. The moon always seemed to go with the stars on a cloudless night, just like Itachi seemed to be the perfect ninja of Konoha. No one notices how the moon is different, how it is forced to stand alone away from the stars, vastly different but not of its own choice. Just like Izumi, the moon was always misunderstood, they took it for granted, never appreciating, never spending the moment to ponder or to ask a question, they always just stood and watched from afar, afraid of getting too close. Now that Naruto knew the real Izumi, he gained a new appreciation for the full moon hanging gracefully in the sky. Proud and beautiful, but hidden away most of the time, just like his breathtaking Izumi. Both Naruto and Izumi stared at their surroundings, taking in the wonders of both the scenery and their partner. Just like how the cold dark lake held the reflection of only the full moon and none of the stars, the moon seemed to shine most of its pale light onto the water, lighting it up and showing all the meaning and profoundness one would miss at first glance at the body of water. Just like the moon and the lake, like the elm trees speckled in moonlight, Naruto and Izumi came together, lips hungry for their partner. As both partners' embrace became ravenous, Izumi stopped them. She looked into the eyes of the man who knew her whole being just like she knew his. She slowly, sensually took off her clothes and helped her boyfriend do the same. As they came together in full view of the moonlight and the reflection of the lake, neither had any regret. They took each other and they lost part of themselves to the other. After they were both thoroughly satisfied with each other hours later, there was nothing on either of their minds except the other. As Izumi lay on her lover's heavily beating bare chest and kissed him over the heart, she couldn't hear the wildlife anymore. The exhilarating rush she just went through made her entirely focus on the ragged breath she could both hear and feel coming from her partner. Just in time with her own heavy breathing, the love she felt in her own being and knew was echoed in Naruto was all she knew. standing up on sore legs, burning from the passion she was feeling only moments ago, she lifted up her lover and wrapped him in her arms. She shunshined the both of them back to her bed in the Uchiha hideout for the continuation of their loving embrace. In the morning sun, an elderly couple decided to take a walk past a nearby lake. As they came upon the sight of Naruto and Izumi's abandoned clothes, they could only smile fondly, remembering their own moments they had in this romantic spot. Both of them could only leave a wish for a long and happy relationship for the young couple who were obviously so caught up in the moment they left their clothes by this was a sign it seemed the young couple may just have as long and as loving a relationship as they did. That was almost 5 months ago now. Their relationship couldn't better. Their relationship was progressing fast but in a very comfortable way for both of the. Nearly 24 hours a day were spent with each other. The only time Naruto could remember not spending with Izumi when one of them is using the bathroom or has to make a run into town for supplies. They trained together, ate together, slept next to each other, hell they even bathed with each other every day. Their sex life was also something Naruto was exceedingly happy with. Almost every day they were at each other like newlyweds, a quickie in the morning before training if they were both up to it, a little shower fun time after training if neither were too sore or tired, and almost every night before they fell asleep tired to the bone in each other's arms. They were inseparable, and they both loved it. Naruto could kind of understand the perversions of Ero Sennin now, he couldn't really see any downsides of constant intense sex, aside from some chafing, soreness, and a bit of dehydratedness. Naruto could imagine his old master's motivation for all things perverted, but there were things he didn't agree with. Naruto didn't agree with peeking, sure he had a very healthy appreciation for a woman's body, but he had zero interest in peeking. Seeing a naked woman is great, but why peek on a woman who doesn't want to be seen, it seemed wrong to him. He had several little gripes with the pervertedness of the sage, but what he really didn't see the value with was sleeping around her with whores. What made sex with Izumi so great was that it was with Izumi, he knew what made her feel good, and she knew what made him feel good. Half the pleasure to sex for Naruto was just being connected to your partner. He had no interest in fucking the blonde who lived across the street from the general store he bought supplies in. Sure she was a very attractive woman, in all honesty almost as attractive as Izumi herself, but that just wasn't enough for him. She flirted with him every time he went into town, making it obvious what she wanted. When she invited him into her apartment for some tea, he could have sex with her, but there was no connection, no emotional value. That's what made sexual activities so amazing, giving pleasure to a partner you loved. How Jiraiya could spend his days sleeping with anything that moved stumped him. He knew that he was in love with Tsunade-bachan, but that apparently didn't stop him from fucking any half-decent horror woman that gave the slightest hint of being interested. If he stopped sleeping around maybe the Hokage would give Jiraiya a chance, but that was just Naruto's opinion. In other news he did finally see the glory in the little orange books his master would write and his old teacher would read. Icha Paradise gave him and Izumi a lot of inspiration for some of their nightly fun, but their favorite scene to recreate was from Icha Tactics. Roleplay became a big kink of both of theirs after reading those books. He had made sure to thank Jiraiya through Gamakichi after he had asked his old master for some of the books. In the note Jiraiya sent both Izumi and Naruto had a good laugh, seeing that in Jiraiya's view, he had finally given into the ways of the pervert. He did feel a little bad for Kakashi though, reading those books every day over and over again. There were only 4 books. How bad of a sexual slump did his teacher have to be in to read the books over and over again, with no one to read it with? Looking back, he really didn't know his teacher's personal life that well. Maybe he had a girl that he just didn't bother to show his genin team. Maybe the proctor for the second stage of the exam. She looked kinda freaky and did say she knew the man. Aside from his sexual escapades and musings, his ninja training had slowed down some. He now spent even more time than the previous months doing physical training, almost 5 hours a day now. Since both his affinities had been trained well, he had focused on practicing his collection of jutsu, both Futon and Suiton. He had a nice little repertoire of jutsu, not too big and not too small, and was currently training on applying elemental chakra to his Rasengan. He decided to only use 3 clones a day to do this. His father created the original jutsu, and it seemed it was his job to complete it. He wanted to live up to the legacy his father left him without the semi-cheating clone learning techniques. Speaking of his father, Naruto had decided to get over his misgivings with him and started studying Fuin Jutsu. It was progressing quite well, but he was nowhere near unlocking the lock for the Hiraishin located on his body. Izumi knew next to nothing about the art of sealing aside from how to use basic seals like storage scrolls and exploding notes. He had asked Jiraiya for some workbooks through the toads, and he had been surprisingly helpful. Apparently sealing was too dangerous for a novice to learn, so Jiraiya moved away from his laissez-faire teaching methods, where he would give the bare minimum information and let Naruto work out the details on his own. Whenever Jiraiya sent any information or homework on seals, he would send along intricately detailed notes and instructions on every small little aspect of each individual seal. Jiraiya seemed very proud of how fast Naruto was progressing, but to Naruto it seemed to be progressing at a snail's pace. His work with the 3-Tomo Sharingan was great. He could break down and copy enemy jutsu the first time he saw them, his reflexes and seeing where the next strike would be has shot up. He could even cast Sharingan Jinjutsu with eye contact, though he still had almost no progress with regular Jinjutsu, the downside of having Kurama. The 9 Tails itself and him had gotten on surprisingly well. He could use the 4 Tails cloak well and was currently training to move up to 5 and onwards. Yes, overall everything was great. He was a Jounin caliber ninja, great with the Sharingan, had 2 summoning clans he worked great with, he was a Jinchuriki that got along with his captive Biju. He had a gorgeous and amazing girlfriend he loved with all his heart, who he also had an active sex life with. Bonus points for that by the way. His amazing girlfriend was also his amazingly powerful sensei that patiently trained him up from a surprisingly untrained genin to a powerful Jounin caliber ninja in 9 months. Yup, overall life was great for Naruto, no problems and no stress, he'd say he was currently in the prime of his life, which is surprising for a 15-year-old. Oh, Izumi finally got out of the bathroom, took her a little while. Naruto-kun, don't be upset, but I have to tell you something. I'm pregnant. Now onto the story. Sorry Izumi, it seems I didn't hear you correctly, would you mind repeating yourself? Naruto, I'm pregnant. We don't use condoms, I was never in kunoichi classes in the academy or anbu, so I never learned any anti-pregnancy jutsu. It seems that you pulled out a little late once or twice and boom, here we are. Izumi Haim, I'm going to be completely honest here, I want you to keep the baby. I love you wholeheartedly and this was going to happen later on down the line. It's your body and ultimately your choice whether or not we abort, but if you're impartial, I would want us to start a family. Tearing up, Izumi raced across the hallway and into her boyfriend's waiting arms. Pushing her face against her boyfriend's chest, she couldn't help but let out a few sniffles. I was so worried you would be upset with me. I know you love me, but I was just so scared. But Naruto-kun, what are we going to do? You're not even 16 years old and you're about to be a father. I'm stuck in an organization that's main goal is hunting and killing you. I can't just disappear from Akatsuki. Madara and Pain already have doubts about Itachi's loyalty. If I don't connect with the rest of the members for the mandatory yearly check-in, Zetsu and Madara will set out to find me. I don't doubt Madara has told Zetsu about my true identity, and if they're both actively searching they will find us. What do we do, Naruto-kun, help me. Instead of answering right away and forcing the both of them to a hasty decision, Naruto took ample time and effort to comfort his sobbing girlfriend. Just holding her in his arms, kissing her behind her ears. He whispered sweet, soft words of comfort and platitudes, telling her it will all be alright because they were together. He rubbed her back, slow, smooth circles that reminded her of how her mother had comforted her when she was young and how Makoto had always made everything feel like it was going to be okay. SHH, Izumi Haim, everything is going to be alright. We have time to make a decision, nothing has to be rushed. Itachi is supposed to meet them in 3 months and you would need to meet with Kisame 2 weeks before that, right? That means all of our preparations need to be done in 2 months, we have time to make a plan. I could contact Jiraiya and he could get us to one of his many hidden safe houses, or we could call your handler in Konoha, who was that? But the small sniff, Izumi almost got herself fully composed for the serious conversation. The only sign that she wasn't the pinnacle of bravery she portrayed herself as was a hint in her tone. It was almost questioning, as if she wasn't confident in her abilities to protect herself and Naruto, not to mention the upcoming member of their little family. My handlers were supposedly Sandaime Sama himself and Danzo. That being said, I have never once received confirmation that my knowledge was being received. Every 6 months I left my information parcel in one of the 5 outlets given to me, but I wasn't given a response like I was promised. No internal changes in Konoha were taken like I had prescribed they should be. It almost seems like they never received my hard work, but I know that is not the case. I've seen some of Danzo's route pick up my parcels and sent a raven to follow him back to Danzo. The raven saw Danzo carefully read the parcel and then burn it. I wouldn't put it past a cripple to manipulate Sandaime Sama into believing I truly went rogue, he always was conniving. Interesting, that does make sense considering Jiraiya never showed any signs in believing you were on Konoha's side. I could contact him and have Hai set something up for somewhere for us to hide. From what you have told me about both Zetsu and Madara's abilities, that wouldn't stop them for long, but it could give us time to plan a better move. Worst case, I could ask Gamakichi to either go to Shikatsu Forest to get in contact with Lady Kitsaya or even Konoha and Tsunade-bachan. I'm sure I could convince her about both your true identity and motives. She would be forced to tell the council, but I can blackmail them into silence about who you are. You would direct the wrath of the whole council of Konoha to yourself just to avoid people questioning me? Why, that's just unneeded. Izumi Haim, after the misadventure during the Chunin exams with Gaara, the shinobi side has gotten over their hatred of me. The civilians and the elders won't change unless something even more drastic happens. I can just get them to reignite their hatred of me. You would be just an afterthought if they thought their precious demon was turning treasonous. They would just think I convinced a naive girl to elope with me from a small backwater community. No one would bother questioning that if they were caught up in punishing their property. I would do anything for you and our child Izumi Haim, just say the word and I would act on your behalf. No matter how painful or vile, whatever you ask of me I would do, I love you just that much. Being held in those big strong arms, Izumi couldn't help but believe him. This amazing man loved her that much. The past 9 months of her life had revolved around this man already, and it seemed he wanted to be the epicenter of it for the foreseeable future. Izumi saw no problems in that. If he wanted to she would let him. He had done a pretty good job so far. The next 9 or so months of her life would already be consumed with growing his child inside of her, so why shouldn't she trust him with everything? It isn't like she hadn't ever given him her everything before. Izumi Haim, since you're pregnant you can't protect me like you used to. I'm not saying you're weak all of a sudden, but we need to think about our child. I refrained from mentioning because I know you didn't want me to worry, but I know your vision is bad. According to Jiraiya, Kisame mentioned the damage when you and him were in Konoha before you and me met in that hotel. I've noticed your eyesight is close to gone, but now it needs to be said. I need to be much stronger to adequately protect my new family. Tomorrow I will get Kichi to reverse summon me to Mount Myaboku and beg Fukasaku-sama to teach me Senjutsu early. He respects the need for strength in order to protect family. He himself has done just that for hundreds of years. It may take months, but if I become a full sage like Jiraiya was never able, I could protect both you and our child. Come, I'll take us to bed. It's been a very long and emotional day, and we need rest for whatever the future has in store. The next morning Naruto woke up earlier than his expecting girlfriend. He slowly rose out of bed as he didn't want to disturb her sleep. Kami knows she would need all the rest she could get. After making her some breakfast and leaving her a note explaining what he was doing, he summoned his trusted friend Gamakichi and got him to summon himself back to his homeland. After a brief foray through the exotic foliage, Naruto and Gamakichi found himself outside Fukasaku-sama and Shima-sama's door. Feeling extremely nervous about what he was going to ask of them, he almost didn't knock. Over the time he had spent here with them learning the Toad's sacred art of battle, he had a strong connection with the elders, affectionately calling them Ma and Pa respectively. Would they be disappointed in him? Getting Izumi pregnant hadn't been planned, but it was a responsibility that lay on his shoulders. The elder Toads were very caring towards the young human, and strangely he cared deeply about their opinion of him. After knocking on the door he had to pause and catch his breath. He needed to be perfectly composed for the heavy favor he was going to ask of them. Being respectful had never truly been in his comfort zone, but Izumi had tried to train him to show respect when the situation called for it. As the small toad answered the door, Naruto tried to hold himself stiff, strong, and proud. How a prospective sage of the Toads would hold themselves for the world to see. Ah, Naruto-chan, good to see you here. It's been a few months since you've come to visit. What are you doing here? Are you sick? You look you're about to shit yourself. No, Fukasaku-sama. I'm not sick, and sadly I haven't come here for pleasure. I need to ask a favor from you. Naruto-chan, what's with all this formal speak? Come in, come in. You know you're always welcome here, so come and sit down. Ma had just made dragonfly mash, so tell us what we can do for you as we eat. Ah, God himself, Naruto, and Gamakichi situated at their table as Ma set out food for them. After a few minutes of pleasantries and meaningless conversation, Naruto prepared himself to ask the world of the old toad. Shima-sama, Fukasaku-sama. As I have told you and Gamakichi here, I am dating a woman named Izumi. I must say thank you once again for not telling anyone, especially Jiraiya, as we are trying to keep our relationship a secret for both of our safety. Recently we have come to find out that she has become pregnant. While we both do not regret that we are having a child together as we love each other, those bring problems. As Jiraiya has told you, an organization filled to the brim with exclusively S-class criminals after the Jinchuriki of the world called Akatsuki has been formed and are after me. With Izumi becoming pregnant, my own level of strength is not sufficient to keep myself, Izumi, or our unborn child safe. I beg of you, Fukasaku-sama, Shima-sama. Please teach me Senjutsu and allow me to be a sage of yours to protect my family. Naruto bowed low to the ground by the end of the speech, forehead perpendicular to the wood grain floor of the hut. Ma and Pa looked at the bent over Naruto, then back at each other. A non-verbal conversation occurred between the two regarding the situation in front of them. After almost 4 full minutes, Fukasaku opened his mouth to speak. No. Naruto's world collapsed around him in his despair. No, Naruto-chan, you are not ready for the use of Sage Mode. Naruto couldn't believe his ears. The Toads were denying him. In the past 2 years of being allied with the Toad clan of Myaboku, Naruto had done nothing but increase the already good opinion of the Toads within both the Shinobu world and within the different summoning clans. Gamabunta himself had assured Naruto of that. What was the reason he was being denied the knowledge then? Did the Toads have a bad opinion of him? Did they see him as an impulsive, irresponsible child? Was this their way of saying they didn't approve of Naruto's actions that led him to become a father at 15? No, that also couldn't be it. If the Toads held a Puritan attitude, then they would have parted ways with Iro-sennin as soon as they met him. For the life of him, Naruto could not figure out why. Fukuaku-sama, Shima-sama, may I ask why I'm being denied? I have done nothing but what you have asked of me and have helped give the Toads the good reputation we hold. Naruto-chan, you have done nothing wrong. Well, the bigwigs across the elemental nations may teach that Jiraiya Boy is the first Toad sage and Hashirama Senju was the first user of Senjutsu in history. This is far from the truth. Jiraiya was the first who has signed the Toad contract in over 200 years, he is far from the first to ever be allied with us. I'm sure you have heard of the Rikido Sennin, right? The progenitor of chakra, creator of ninshu, precursor to ninjutsu. While in truth he isn't the true progenitor of chakra, he did create the art of ninshu. What he did not do was discover senjutsu, or natural energy. Let me teach you a little about the history of the summoning clans before I answer your question, Naruto-chan. The members of greater summoning clans like the Myaboku Toads, Shikatsu slugs or Ryuchi snakes are called sage creatures. We are born with a deep connection with nature as long ago the stories say simple animals started to settle and breed in areas extremely rich in natural energy like Mount Myaboku. Aside from the strange flora and fauna in our homes, there are individual facets of our habitats that facilitated our evolution from the mindless toad you might find by the river into the mighty creatures we are today. Here in Myaboku it is our rich oil that comes from deep in the ground. Our tadpoles mature in the oil and come out senjutsu enriched. In Shikatsu forest it's the leaves the baby slugs feed on, Ryuchi cave, it's the warm stones the eggs rest on before hatching. Before humanity was given chakra reserves that were large enough to be moldable, animals had the strange powers humans only talked about at night, tucked in their shelters where they felt safe. Every once in a while, the pre-chakra humans would stumble across our homelands or some of our people around the world. Very rarely we would find a human we felt connected with and we would train these humans. We taught them the usage of senjutsu to travel their lands and to spread the glory of our clans. The Toads to date have attempted to teach 8452 people the usage of senjutsu. The Toads are considered miserly in who we teach, Naruto-chan. The Ryuchi snakes teach anyone who asks because they enjoy watching the torment that appears within those who ask. Of the 8452 people we have attempted to teach the usage of senjutsu to, do you know how many lived, Naruto-chan? 27, out of 8452 trainees 27 have passed. Minato-chan and Jiraiya Boy have been our only successes in over 400 years. The youngest sage in Mount Myaboku history was a 16-year-old girl. My own grandfather taught the girl almost 600 years ago. She passed but just barely, she had permanent webbed hands and feet, toad cheeks, and her body shrunk by over 4 inches. Age is almost as big a factor in sage training as chakra reserves. When senjutsu permeates a human body it can get stuck, causing many deformities. Once a human stops growing, normally between the ages of 17 and 20, senjutsu becomes almost 70% easier to harness. In accordance to the laws of the Myaboku Toad clan, I cannot teach you the usage of senjutsu until you reach the age of 16. I believe you turn 16 in 5 months, ask again then and I can teach you. It was safe to say Naruto was surprised, who knew the history of the Toads was so rich. Over 8,000 sage trainees, with a less than 1% rate of success. This talk sure gave him an even healthier respect for his father and Iro-sennin. Becoming a sage is absolutely nothing to scoff at. Ah, you don't understand, I don't have 5 months to sit around on my ass. In 2 months there will be people hunting us. I cannot go into it out of respect for Izumi's privacy, but there are people after her and in 2 months they will be hunting her down. Please Fukasaku-sama, if there is anything you can do to help us I would be indefinitely in your debt. I looked at Naruto from across the small table in his hut. He scratched his small beard until an idea came to him. Naruto-chan, I will be sending you back to the human realm now, go to your Izumi girl and explain to her what we have talked about. Convince her to be upfront and honest about her history to me. If she can tell me her backstory I may be able to find a solution to your problems, so you will be safe in 2 months. After thanking the old sage profusely, Naruto followed the man's instructions to a T. Even going as far as asking Kurama to help him tell Izumi exactly what the old toad word for word. Izumi hesitantly agreed to tell the Toads her life story. If Naruto trusted them she thought she could as well. After summoning Pa to the Uchiha hideout and explaining her side of the story, Fukasaku was dumbfounded. Humans are very strange creatures, why would they pit one young human against so much trouble in her young life? Fukasaku, not for the first time mind you, was very thankful he had been born a toad and not a human. Well Izumi-chan, after hearing your story I have no doubts you are an honorable and compassionate enough for a temporary alliance with the Toad clan. If Akatsuki is expecting you Itachi persona in a little over 2 months we have enough time for my plan. In 2 months I want both of you, Naruto-chan and Izumi-chan, to come to Mount Mayaboku and stay there until your little tadpole comes out. First we need permission from Galbraith and the Ravens, but he should agree easy enough. If the Ravens agree then I will call a meeting of the Sage Creature Council. I need all of their permission to have a human child born in my realm. Since Naruto-chan is the father it isn't a completely unallied child. It will probably just be a formality getting permission, but they may ask a small favor of you to complete. Galbraith and Gamabunta have a meeting coming in 2 days, so asking him won't be a problem. I will try to set up the meeting with the council to be in 1 month, so even if they don't agree you have another month to prepare an alternate route. Stay safe Naruto-chan, Izumi-chan. The following weeks were hard for Naruto and Izumi. While Naruto tried to throw himself into training Izumi had started feeling morning sickness. Hormone imbalances, mood swings and constant nausea made their life hell. Izumi would go from the intelligent confident woman she was to a mass of nerves, jumping at the slightest sounds in fear of Zetsu ready to catch her fraternizing with her supposed prey. The future hung over the pair's head, even if they lived long enough to give birth to their child, how were they supposed to raise the child well? Can a child learn and forge bonds while on the run? Would a life of constant running scar their child before they even had a chance to truly live? How would Naruto return to Konoha if he's in a relationship with one of their biggest criminals? These questions plagued their minds constantly. Nights were especially rough for Izumi, as she leaned heavily on the support Naruto gave to her both mentally and physically. When Fukasaku finally let them know they were going to be reverse summoned to the Sage Creature Council meeting they were nervous, but they couldn't be happier to finally have an answer on how their future may look. With a poof of smoke Naruto and Izumi were summoned in front of a large building made completely out of graying marble. As they traversed through the vast empty halls there was a foreboding air around them. The air was especially humid, but they still shivered as they slowly made their way to the meeting area. The empty halls made every sound momentous as it echoed across the cavernous walls. After 3 minutes of walking in silence with the Toad Elder they reached a large door. Large was an understatement as it was over 40 feet of solid stone, chiseled and stylized to show scenes of many different animals all engaged in conversation. When Fukasaku pushed open the heavy marble door they entered the council's chambers. If they thought the halls of the buildings were expansive the room they entered almost seemed like another world. Gamabunta was the biggest being Naruto had ever seen in his life, but the room he entered was obviously made to house dozens of beasts his size if needed. The far wall must have been almost 400 feet away. Looking up Naruto scanned the walls, slowly peering up as his eyes followed the designs. Colored murals of different animals fighting, eating, and arguing covered the walls. There was no roof on the chambers, obviously meant so aerial creatures had easy access. To the left the walls slope away to reveal a vast body of water, so aquatic animals had a place to feel comfortable. Izumi and Naruto both knew there were a vast array of summons, but they were in awe of all the species depicted in the designs. Every animal they could imagine, creatures of legend, beasts they couldn't fathom, all were present in the huge expanse of summons under the leadership of the council. Fukasaku led them into the center of the room as they finally met the council. Hello Fukasaku-san, I see you have brought the humans that would like a boon of us. Explain the favor you seek, and the council will ask appropriate reparations be met by you for us to answer your call. I am Kaltria of the Lion Clan. I represent the sage creatures of the land. To my right, representing our avian brothers is Haruto-sama, leader of the Eagle Alliance. To my left and in the water is our aquatic branch leader, Wade-sama of the Shark Pack. Explain both your situation and what you must ask of us. Hopefully we will find a path we can follow that will lead to contentment for us all. Kaltria the lion spoke with charisma and pride, just like the stereotypical image of lions. He was 20 feet tall and seemed like a powerful warrior. When he spoke Naruto could feel the vibrations in his bones. His muscles tensed and flexed with every minute gesture he made while speaking. He cut a figure of a powerful but intimidating leader. The eagle Haruto was the smallest of the 3 summons, being only around 6 feet tall. In sharp contrast to the powerful figure that was Kaltria, Haruto seemed to be the brains and wisdom of the council. He was wizened and shrunken in on himself, just like Fukasaku the toad. Even with his less than intimidating image, it was obvious the eagle was not to be underestimated. He gave off an immense aura of both nobility and honor, he seemed to be a leader many people have come to respect from the long time he has been in the service of the council. By far both the largest and scariest was Wade the shark. Only the head of the aquatic creature was visible from Naruto's position on land, but that was more than enough to get the general idea. Whenever Wade's humongous maw opened, hundreds of teeth seemed to gleam from the hidden depths inside the cavernous mouth. Each of the numerous teeth were over 4 feet long of jagged weapons of death. Wade seemed like a person no one could cross and live to tell the tale. Altria-sama, Haruto-sama, Wade-sama. As you know, today I have brought both my own summoner Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze and the summoner of the Raven clan, Izumi Uchiha, in front of you so we can have permission to protect their upcoming child. Due to an unfortunate series of harsh situations and painful betrayal at the hands of her own father, Izumi-chan here was forced to kill the leadership of her clan for the continued longevity of her home village. After this, she was forced on a long-term undercover mission into an organization of S-rank criminals. They believe she is a man named Itachi Uchiha, a persona Izumi here was forced to live in since the age of 5. Against all odds, Izumi has managed to fall in love with who her target was supposed to be for this organization, young Naruto here. In 1 month time, Izumi is obligated to meet with this criminal organization, Akatsuki. While she is skilled in infiltration, there is still no known knowledge in how to hide the chakra signature of a fetus. If she goes to this meeting, her cover will be blown and they will kill her. Consequently, if she does not go to this meeting, Akatsuki will grow curious as to why and will send their intelligence operators to find her. While Naruto and Izumi are both quite skilled for their young age, they cannot fight off this organization, especially if the stronger of the two is currently weighed down by the fact that she is pregnant. What I have come to ask the council today on behalf of my summoner, his mate, and their unborn child is refuge. While I have allowed Naruto to stay in Mount Mayaboku for as long as needed and Galbraith of the Ravens has allowed Izumi to stay in Mayaboku as well, I am well aware for a non-allied human child to be born on Summon Land could be a problem. I ask for permission for this pair to stay in Mayaboku until their child is born. I would also ask for the rights to allow this child to stay on Mayaboku until their parents deem it safe for them to return to the human realm. Naruto ruffled his feathers and let off a caw, seemingly to clear his throat. Fukasaku-sama, both you and the Toad clan have been well respected for generations. For you to ask a favor of the council on behalf of your summoner and his fledgling family speaks a great deal on your opinion and loyalty to them. I personally can allow this, but the Eagles will require a service down for us by the humans. We were refound by Bitsuma Senju during the late days of the Warring States period. When after both he and all his sons died, our contract was left in the hands of his second son Tabarama Senju, the Niddame Hokage of Konoha. While not being as good a summoner for us as his father or elder brother, we did enjoy having him allied with us. When he was killed by Kumagakure's Kinkaku force in the First Shinobi War, Kumo took the contract off his dead body and have kept it as spoils of war. So far 4 have tried to sign our contract and none have been to our liking. What we require is that you acquire our contract through any means necessary and return our contract to Konoha for the next generation to take our tests. We enjoy the forest surrounding you village and believe your will of fire belief may lead us to finding a new worthy summoner. Fukasaku nodded and asked both Naruto and Izumi if the terms were satisfactory. Both quickly agreed but had no clue how they would get a powerful contract away from Kumo, who was famous for their militarization. Kaltria stepped up next and it seemed he would be the next to speak. Fukasaku-kun, you and I have been friends since I was a young cub. When the lions had to wage war against the traitorous Ocelot tribe, you fought alongside me when I asked for your help. I require no service from you, my friend, as I am always in your debt for saving my life countless times. He gave off a powerful roar that shook the chambers. Afterwards he gave the old toad a sly grin which Fukasaku returned in a similar manner. The shark pack acknowledged the need to protect your pups through any means. When I myself was giving birth to my eldest son, my mate had to kill dozens who thought they could attack me in my moment of weakness. We will agree to your request no matter what if it is to protect your pup. That being said, we ask of you to do us a service, and even if you deny us we will allow you to give birth in our lands. The sharks have always worked in the ocean that surrounds the land that has become Kurigakure. We have allowed Hoshigaki to sign our contract for 3 generations. The latest Hoshigaki that holds our contract is Kisame, a member of the Akatsuki group you have infiltrated Izumi. Kisame has brought disdain on the shark name, he is seen as a senseless slaughterer, a man who has killed allies in cold blood for no reason. We cannot disbar him from our contract as several young sharks follow him because they feel the need to slake their bloodlust through senseless massacres. I would ask you to kill him and give our contract to a different clan of Kiri, maybe the Hazuki, they would fit well with our in-water fighting style. I ask you do this but do not require it. Naruto stepped forward and bowed deeply. Naruto-sama, Kaltria-sama, Wade-sama. I would like to thank you from the bottom of my soul for allowing this. You have saved the life of both my mate and my child, and for that I could never repay you. I will work on the tasks you have set for me, and I will not rest until it is done. If I die I will ask my comrades too and my village to undertake this task. Rest assured your will shall be done, and if you ever have need of me to do something for you again, call upon me and I will answer. Thank you again. By the end of his speech Naruto was tearing up, his family was safe. When Fukasaku led them out of the building, everything was a blur. He had a set plan for the future and goals he must reach. When he and Izumi were led to a small housing unit near where Ma and Pa lived they collapsed on the futon ready for a deep and dreamless sleep. Both were emotionally drained after a long day of ups and downs. Finally having good news was something they could celebrate in the morning, for now sleep was needed. What if Naruto finds true love in Train Trip? End here, and thanks for watching my video till the end.